Hi, my name is Gabriela Antequera. I'm going to be presenting the micro teaching lesson plan titled Community Heroes Quest for our curriculum design class. This is our lesson plan 2. It was designed for third grade students mostly and focuses on developing both social studies knowledge and basic language skills through a gamified learning experience. Although the lesson was not implemented in a real classroom setting, it is structured as if it were carried out in practice, following a student centered and task based instructional approach. Our table of contents is we're going to briefly explain the contents of the lesson plan. We're going to dive in the learning objectives that were taken into account when creating this lesson plan, specifically for the type of contents that we're currently in. Then we're going to simplify just the rules, points, and rewards of this gamified lesson plan, which are very important since that's the main methodology that is going to be taken out. We're going to be going through the warm up and the lesson flow itself, what it into to take this lesson plan to action. We're going to also analyze the assessments that were taken into place and that will be carried out at the end of each activity, and what are the materials and resources that were used for this lesson plan only, and some final thoughts as well. So the contest, well, as previously stated, it engages third grade students individually in discovering urban, suburban, and rural communities through certain missions. But to begin the lesson, I would introduce the activity as a mission-based game. Students take on the role of individual town planners whose goal is to build successful communities by selecting the appropriate helpers. So I would present a visual poster showing different types of communities, urban, suburban, and rural, along with various community helpers, which will be shown at the end as material and resources. And then I would guide students with a key question: who are the everyday heroes that help our communities? So this stage is designed to activate prior knowledge and increase engagement and establish a meaningful context for learning for the students itself. By the end of the lesson, students are expected to accurately classify three types of communities: urban, suburban, and rural, match six helpers such as firefighter, teacher, and farmer to the correct environment, and describe how each helper contributes to the community using simple sentences or drawings. So these objectives integrate both cognitive skills, such as classification, and communicative skills, such as basic description. Now, the lesson incorporates gamification elements to increase motivation, rules, points, and rewards. Students work individually and complete a series of missions under time constraints, which can be variable depending on how the process during the activity itself. But they earn points for correct answers and receive rewards such as badges or recognitions. I just stated some points that would actually help them be more motivated to it, because kids tend to prefer competition sometimes over the actual learning. But within this type of lesson plan, the actual points come along with it, a side of learning of communication as well as vocabulary. So there were going to be established type of stickers that would help them be more um, uh, to be more engaged in the activity, as well as to just to put a much more effort in it as well. Additionally, students are also were also encouraged to justify their answers, which promotes critical thinking itself and a more deeper understanding on the activity and the purpose of it. So this structure supports active participation and reinforces engagement throughout the lesson. So the lesson begins with a gamified warm up called Silent Hero Hunt. Students mime the action of a community helper and then write down their tasks along with one responsibility of that role. Afterwards, the students share their ideas, explaining how they identify the helper, um, which promotes both observation, activates prior knowledge, and introduces also key vocabulary in an interactive and low pressure way, which is very something key for a warm up. Something easy, but it actually helps with the lesson plan. Our first mission, or the first part of the gamified practice, it's called level one, sort the landscapes. So in the first mission, students classify different types of communities using visual cards. So they create three groups: urban, suburban, and rural. Through this activity, students develop classification skills and begin to understand the characteristics of each environment. So the differentiation is incorporated by providing visual support for some learners and an extension task for advanced students, such as imagining a new type of community, for example. I'm going to show you the um, images or visual aids that will be used for this. So this will be one of the resources that will be presented for this first gamified practice. They will see different slides or flashcards that will contain the first the urban, suburban, and rural images, and then they will see each categorized by the type of helpers that would much more entail or be more seen in these type of areas. So this type of visual aid will also help them um, both connect the visual aid what they're seeing but with the actual knowledge and the activity of knowing what category or what type of helper belongs to each one of them. Now, in the second mission, or the second part of this gamified lesson plan, okay, it's named Recruit the Right Heroes. So, in this second mission, students match community helpers, which were the ones that we previously saw on the flashcards, to the appropriate environment: rural, urban, or rural, urban, or suburban. For example, they might associate a farmer with a rural area or a doctor with an urban city setting. So students are also encouraged to explain their reasoning on what at the end of the day they chose, which promotes analytical thinking and reinforces the understanding of each helper's role and helps them associate it with what they're doing. So this stage connects knowledge with application, strengthening conceptual learning in this case. Now our third mission on the lesson flow is create, and students demonstrate their understanding by creating short descriptions or drawings. They select their top matches, which will see it on the community heroes quest spreadsheet that they will be provided by to them. They'll see what they actually matched or not, so they can demonstrate their understanding by creating any short descriptions, just sentences or drawings. They select their top matches and describe how each helper contributes to the community. For example, a police officer helps people cross the street safely. Um, but they could say just a police officer belongs to suburban areas or urban areas. This activity integrates language production, depending on the English advance of each one of the students, but with content knowledge, and allows students to express ideas creatively. So these will allow them to just express what concepts they took from connecting both the helpers to the communities itself. Now that was the end of the lesson plan, but now assessment is something that was greatly thought of. It is conducted through a combination of self-evaluation and also teacher feedback. So students complete the checklist that was shown previously on the last section of the gamified plan, and this would reflect on their performance, while the teacher uses a rubric to evaluate their understanding during oral sharing. So badges or rewards are then distributed based on the performance, reinforcing again the motivation and also providing a feedback that's provided right away and immediate, and so that they can feel accomplished with the lesson plan, and all the process that it went through and what they could learn about the activities itself. This lesson plan entails using print-based materials because I believe it is easier for students to actually not only see the visual aids but to touch it, um, such as the community cards that are were developed for this, and the helper cards as well, but also visual posters of the actual um, areas, the urban, suburban, and the rural as well as many other I would say helpers within the community. This might be just a short list of it, but it's just an idea itself of what it could be. So these resources are designed to be accessible and reusable. So um, they could be um, printed out and then just put a type of vinyl so that it could be protected and reused. It's suitable for different learning styles, particularly visual and kinesthetic learners, students and children that really depend on the visual type of just resources itself. It will be a more beneficial form of them learning this actual lesson plan. So by the end of the lesson, students are expected to develop a clear understanding of different types of communities, the roles of key helpers, how these roles contribute to everyday life. But additionally, students build skills in classification, reasoning, and just basic communication. It um, reinforces the type of lesson, reinforces the idea that community helps, um, and the helpers of the community play an essential role in maintaining safe and functional environments. So it combines gamification, social studies, content, and language development in an interactive and very meaningful way, as we previously stated. So by engaging students in a structured quest, the lesson promotes active learning, critical thinking, and this real world connection that they will need even within a simple classroom setting. I hope this lesson not only provides a clear understanding of how gamified lesson plan can be provided, but it's also a structured type of lesson that hopefully can be carried out in practice and following, of course, student-centered and task-based instructional approach can be a very successful gamified learning experience. Thank you for watching.